Thank you very much for being here. I've been listening to the talks throughout, and probably they have covered a number of aspects that I discovered as well. Sorry, that was my alarm for my presentation. Okay, so let me start and see if you have any questions later on. Okay, um, the focus of today's talk is what is AI, and I did some lit review on that. A brief context of AI in the English language teaching context. I know that today's symposium is broader than that because I'm an English language teaching professional myself. I'm going to talk about the writing in particular. Also, the main problem or the key problems, as the literature has pointed out, and some knowledge gaps, and then I'll go into my study and look at some perspectives, and at the end, some insights and conclusions. So, artificial intelligence, for the sake of my study, refers to processes conducted by machines that are able to perceive, recognize, learn, react, and solve problems. And these smart technologies, in 2017 already, and you can see that these definitions come from 1993 as well, will revolutionize workplaces of the future. And probably they are doing that already. Also, AI can interact and help humans perform at higher levels, and that it's disruptive. Also, it's integral to the fourth industrial revolution and may trigger the fourth revolution in education. And probably that's what we are witnessing now. AI is a collection and processing of large sets of data. And it relies on artificial neural networks and machine learning technologies. Also, it turns texts into structured data and extracts meaning from them by utilizing natural language processing (NLP). You must have heard about it all day, and natural language understanding (NLU). In our context, DLT context, technology has exerted a profound impact on language learning and teaching. AI-based corrective feedback, for example, has been widely available for some years through a famous tool, Grammarly, and others similar to that. AI-based sentence and phrase auto-completion and alternative wording suggestions are considered some of the greatest developments in our field and probably in all fields because you use email and it writes it for you nowadays. But what are the key problems? So, incorporating these tools into language classroom has been controversial. AI-powered writing assistance is not just vocabulary and grammar. It goes beyond into more human-like help now. And so, language educators have reservations about the authenticity of students' submitted writing. There are knowledge gaps. For example, we we don't know how learners actually use the technologies. What kind of impact? How do we measure the impact on instructional environment? We go into our classrooms and we want to teach writing, but are students willing to learn what we teach? Are we teaching to them that complements the technologies that they have affordances of? So, and we are not as technology savvy as our students. They are digital natives. So, what perspectives do English language professionals in my study hold? So, I did this study with 13 teachers. I interviewed them as part of my PhD research. So, I added one question because of the rapid developments. I'm studying feedback on writing. So, you can imagine how I felt when I heard about ChatGPT. So the question I asked was, how is AI changing your approaches to teaching writing and giving feedback on it? The answers were broader. than just writing, because I think teachers are still trying to understand how it's impacting them. So, irrespective of the question I asked, their answers often fell broader into a broader territory. So, I've captured their perspectives because I just completed this study. So there were four kinds of perspectives I came across. One was around two teachers out of 13 were in complete denial. They were kind of buried their head in sand and continuing as before. Some of them were skeptics, and there were two kinds of skeptics, positive and kind of negative skeptics. Then many of them, four of them, treated AI as a threat. So they were threatened by its presence. It's a prevalence now, and it's a kind of power. And they were not sure how they could, what feedback to give on writing, how to recognize and give, what feedback to give on AI generated writing. They were worried about losing their jobs. They were worried about becoming irrelevant. There were all sorts of responses, and not very organized one actually, because probably it's too new, and people are still kind of formulating their responses. Of course, there were quite a number of them. Some of them who were treating it as a threat, but still saw positivity in it, and they were willing to or getting ready to embrace AI. So the denial ones, you can see, these are the exact words of the teachers. In square brackets are my additions or summaries of what went beforehand. So in many language subjects such as literature and creative writing, it's basically impossible for them means students, to be able to achieve like an A or B plus level with AI use. That was the opinion of one of them. And she said she's not going to do anything differently, and she'll continue to teach as before. And using ChatGPT, there's going to be no detail, and there's going to be no personalized example. So she was quite confident that it's not going to impact her way of teaching. There was skepticism, more of it. People were wary of the power, but aware of it. So some of them didn't know what to say. For example, oh, they just want to be on this bandwagon, the earth making money. Yeah. I think it is. You'll be very soon see tools that allow us to incorporate AI into our feedback on writing. So she's not happy, this person, he or she, but she's probably waiting, gearing up to to incorporate AI into feedback and waiting for the more tools. And she's probably, or he's positive, a little positive. Yeah. Okay. Um, and again, there is some of them expressed skepticism plus indifference. Why were for example, machine translation generated essays not a problem so far? So this particular colleague thought that we have been actually dealing with AI for quite some time, but we have turned a blind eye to it. Students have been submitting translated essays, but we just turned a blind eye um, uh, to it. And sometimes um, we are saying, no, it's not the students' work. Now, a lot of students have been translating a lot. And why? This colleague was quite emotional. Um, and why wasn't that a problem for the last 5 to 7 years? But the colleague said when he talks about this, people don't like the opinions that are being expressed. Also, this was quite interesting. One of the teachers was very, very concerned about what will happen to new idea generation if students are going to generate their writing with AI. You are not going to go through the process of research, collecting ideas, doing primary data collection, and they'll just submit an essay that they generated within a matter of seconds. And um, so she's very concerned about the idea generation. And she says that what we have been doing has helped the whole world. It's very valuable, the whole research process. But what's going to happen now? Are the students going to lose that ability to do genuine research? She seems to think that that idea generation is the most important aspect of learning and teaching. We give students the tools and they develop ideas. And we were thinking that our next generation needs to generate even more brilliant and outstanding ideas. And now what? Also, AI is treated as a threat. So, who am I giving feedback to? I'm not sure what kind of feedback I can give if they submit an AI generated text or tweak it or meet all the requirements. Students are smart enough to do that. What can I say if it is a grammatically perfect work? This teacher probably values a lot feedback that she or he gives on language and grammar. And if that is perfect and it's relatively well organized, what is my role? Um, Also, the teacher went on to say that compared to the drafts that we are getting now, we may be getting substantially better drafts and not necessarily student generated ones. So, what are we going to do with those? So there is insecurities. It's One of the teachers I quite liked that this teacher's response was that she believes that it is revolutionary, but she doesn't like it. She says she can't turn back the clock, she can't turn back time, but she feels there's going to be a divisive issue, and it is. We can see that this widening gap between those who love it and those who don't. But she thinks that as a professional, there are so many negatives. And I really liked when she said that um, it's like pulling the rug under her feet. Um, and a lot of, she feels that students want to get a good grade, and they are encouraged to get a good grade by the institution, so they are going to use AI. You can't stop it. In fact, institutions have been encouraging students to use grammar checkers and tools like that. Um, it has been quite disturbing for this one. And she says that a high percentage of students are using AI generators. The challenge is that they are no longer coming to the writing center. They are no longer booking writing consultations. The teachers are losing that conversation, that interaction with students that help them become better writers. They think that they have AI, so they don't need to book. This is also a big challenge. One teacher was concerned about the focus on product that people want. They want to write a report, they use AI. They want to write an essay, they use AI. They lose that engagement with the process. And of course, a big number of students wanted to embrace AI. And so they talked about using assessment rubrics. And I heard Frankie talk about that, about marking. Earlier, some of the teachers talked about assessment, the ChatGPT supported assessment. Um, and also to achieve clarity in language, they don't mind. They want to use AI as an assistant. Okay, this teacher says, I want my students to use it. Just do it. She said, I'm not going to do that for you. You're going to do that for yourself. I'm not going to paste it into ChatGPT and then copy and paste my feedback. I will just tell you, use AI tools, use any online tools to help you identify grammatical issues. And if you don't know, how can we do that together? Let's do it together. So all these perspectives, the end of my at the end of my presentation, I'll give you some insights and conclusions. It is evident that there is a lot of confusion, there are a lot of perspectives, and that generative AI is a reality that we have to deal with. But because of those different perspectives, we understand that teachers' professional role has changed drastically, and there needs to be organizational reforms. To some extent, students as digital citizens are able to leverage AI and improve learning outcomes. So, but they may fail to use suitable AI techniques appropriately for their own learning context. Um, and so, is it revolutionary? Well, perhaps there is too much fear because television and computers were touted to be game changers in education, but they have enhanced access to information without substantially changing the core educational practices. Perhaps there is too much hype, and we will continue to have the core educational practices as they are now. We need to review our AI capabilities and identify pathways to optimize learning. And so we need to look at AI literacy. Like I've been following Dr. Svetlana Chigaeva Haddad on LinkedIn, and she has also been a colleague and friend for a long time. So I'd like to comment on her LinkedIn post where I saw her slides. We need an approach to integrating AI literacy across the curriculum, similar to what has been done with writing across the curriculum in the last few decades. And this responsibility falls on all teachers, regardless of their disciplinary background. I couldn't agree more. And also, she has highlighted the importance of cultivating AI literacy and steering students in the direction of using AI for honing their research skills, for making sure that they go through that process of doing research, for becoming researchers and generate creators of new knowledge. And that's where I finish. And I would like your comments on the ideas that I have shared.
Hi, Sherry. This is Eric, sitting.
Hi, Eric.
Let me wave. Yeah, I've got
Hello.
a quick question regarding some teachers' feedback. Like, there are deniers
Yes.
who may or may not have used generative AI tools before. But did you also ask the other teachers about their AI usage, like the more skeptical ones? So what did they say about the generative AI tools in general? Or yeah, so far? Thank you.
Yeah, I did ask. Actually, there was quite a large data set. Interestingly, a number of them, 4 or 5 of them, had actually used ChatGPT to generate feedback on writing. And I think they wanted to see what it can do. And they made it a policy that this semester they will use ChatGPT to give feedback for all of the scripts in English writing requirement, if some of you are familiar with that. And interestingly, they thought that ChatGPT's feedback was out of 8 or 9 suggestions made, they could make use of only 2 or 3. And mostly those were limited to organization or grammar. There were comments on general content and, as well, but they were not usable because the context was too specific. At this stage, they have tried, and so their conclusion was that that AI is good for spotting grammatical errors, sentence structure errors, for giving feedback. But if students are going to use, you know, AI tools to generate their text or get this help themselves, then probably that role will disappear, Eric, right? There were other comments as well, but this was the most remarkable one. I was really happy to interview some of them who had actually used ChatGPT to give feedback on script and actual scripts.
Question I would like to ask you. So, in your opinion, what is the best case and worst case scenario for students of the future?
Oh, um, I am quite optimistic. I think that we as educators, and especially those in Hong Kong, have always been very proactive in devising assessments and processes that, uh, in the best case scenario, will still engage students with the subject matter so that they are assessed in many different ways, so that they don't just rely on extended one-off writing exam. So I think they must be putting in place some policies and rules and regulations to design assessments that are of many stages. They could even start with Chat GPT generated one and then ask students to critically develop their own. But in the worst case scenario, of course, is kind of burying your head in sand and continuing as you go, because I don't think that is the luxury we can afford anymore. I agree with Frankie Haar's conclusion earlier that it is our responsibility to become aware of the affordances that AI provides us and get ready to change the way we teach. Our role has changed, especially in language teaching and also in content teaching. I think our roles have changed. Um, so we need to ensure that the next generation in our care receives the education and is able to become the experts, especially in higher education, that they enter the higher education for.
Just one more from me. I think this will be the last one because nobody's volunteering.
No problem.
So your research, it said that the people was get. I'm sure that your research is anonymous. You wouldn't know the
Yes,
teacher. Yeah,
it
so
is.
but from your opinion, so teachers, do you think that if they're optimistic or pessimistic, or whether they have a closed or or fixed or open mindset or growth mindset,
They are all. My data set is quite small at the moment, but I'm interested in broadening it later on. Um, so based on my kind of uh, number of participants, I think a majority of the teachers are gearing up. Even though the threat is also a good thing. I mean, if you feel threatened, you do something about it. So most of them feel the threat and they are gearing up. A number of them are very positive, embracing, and very excited about all the help that it can provide. But I liked the responses of the skeptics and those who feel the threat more, because I think they thought very deeply about the negative impacts which potentially can happen. So it's better to be prepared for the worst, and then do our best.